Chuck Gigamonkey would like to know. People have some great names on Twitter, by the way. I'm gonna say. I want to ask Epic, and you're doing that. He's doing that right now. What COG members are going to be playable for the beta?
Off the top of my head, I can tell you, you have Marcus, you have Dom, you have Anya, you have Prescott, who's the chairman of the COG. He's only available, though, for play, I believe, in Capture the Leader. And then you have Thrashball Cole that you can unlock in the beta, and that's the only way to unlock him and the gold Retro Lancer is by getting a certain amount of kills and matches in the beta. So keep that in mind, everybody who wants to get in on that. It's pretty amazing how powerful the cosmetic unlocks are. We deliberately chose to go more of the Halo route with more visually oriented upgrades and unlocks over the more gameplay oriented nature of Call of Duty, because you find perks and things like that can be very powerful, but they also can be very polarizing within the community. Some players love them and some players just can't stand them. Some players prefer a more balanced game. I like to believe that Gears is sometimes more chess than a checkers when it comes to online play, and when you see somebody wearing that football outfit with that gold gun, you want it, and you will grind and you'll strive towards it, and then when you see somebody else wearing some different outfit, you'll hopefully have that envy and want to unlock that as well.
Cliff, I was just curious, have you been seeing a lot of people using any of the new kind of quirky things that are included in Gears 3, like specifically like the mantle kick and the grenade tag, where you can kick a guy off who's a meat shield and with a grenade tag?
Yeah, the bag tag is my preferred way to get rid of a hostage now. So if I have somebody and I press up on the D-pad, I just launch them into a crowd of guys, and then I hold the retro charge and I go into the smoke, and a lot of the times it's like dynamite fishing. I wind up getting somebody.
I'm not seeing a lot of it used online. I'm wondering if people just kind of don't know it's there who are in the
They will. I mean, they're not getting a lot of the same tooltips you normally would. When you play the campaign, it's your first real couple dates with a game, right? And that's when you really get to know it, and you have the tutorials, and you have the things that teach you how to use that, and the AI uses it against you, and you're like, oh, this is great. I want to learn how to use that. Time will make all of that happen. I was playing online last night, and I saw a guy who's really, really good. He's one of the higher ranked guys already. He mantled over and kicked two guys at the same time and stunned them, and then sawed off and chipped them both at the same time to win the match. And the server went bananas. It was great, right? It was one of those awesome moments. Like, well, how do you even know you could do that? And we're in this world now where those things will start to propagate virally. Once a few players start picking up on it and start learning how to use these moves, and they see other players do it, they'll ask, they'll go to message boards, and this is good. You don't want it all to be out there day one, moment one. You want players to kind of start, having the whispering of how to do this move or what this little secret thing is. It's almost getting back to that old arcade Street Fighter type mentality where you rely on the human network to spread how to play the game in advanced ways.
So, Sograblexa, wow, this is a weird name. I can't make these things up. How will Gears 3 ranking system work, and will there be a prestige mode like Call of Duty has?
Honestly, it's not. I did not even participate in the design of that, so that's like a Rod or a Lee question. I would hate to answer that and be incorrect. It's one of those things that I'm a fan of some of the things that they've done in that, but our solution to that remains to be seen, and I would really hold out for them for that one because I'd hate to answer it wrong.
Fair enough. What kind of Sucker B again? He gets in there a lot. He wants to know what kind of character appearance customizations are they going to be in the beta and then in the full game.
Well, the weapons are customizable depending on which one of your starting weapon you choose. You have the rifle slot, which is the hammer burst, the retro lancer, as well as the traditional chainsaw lancer, and that's one slot. And then you have the shotgun slot, which is the sawed-off shotgun and the Gnasher. And you can unlock and configure weapon skins for those, as well as unlocking different characters that you can actually play as. We decided that in the fiction of the Gears universe, we wanted to go with more overall coarse brushstrokes of the characters you can unlock. So you're unlocking characters such as Thrashball Cole or Superstar Cole, who looks like he's ready to go to a club, as opposed to Marcus Phoenix shoulder pad 436 that is octagon shaped, as opposed to the one that was pentagram shaped, right? Or pentagon shaped, not pentagram. There's my little 80s satanic rock coming out. So we didn't want to kind of nickel and dime people with COD piece number 6. We wanted to go with overall broader things to unlock that are much more obvious in the battlefield, and let our art team show off what they could do with building these great, beautiful character models.
So right now, Geddes and Arthur are playing in the Thrashball map. Can you just talk maybe a little bit about what went behind the design of this map?
Jim Brown did a great job spearheading the multiplayer design in the game with all of our LBs, and Thrashball is a fun one because Thrashball and Checkout are extremely snug maps, by the way, that are in the beta. They're very, very close quarters. There's a little bit of long-range fighting when you go from kind of the opposite ends of Thrashball, but overall it's pretty snug, and it's, of course, an old Thrashball arena, which is the, of course, fictional sport that Cole used to play in, and we've got a little bit of color bleeding through in the Gears universe. I don't know if you noticed, the blues look a little blue, and the greens look a little bit green, you know, bucking a little bit of that trend of what the quote next-gen look was of those desaturated grays and browns. Not to say we're not gonna have some of those, but we're letting a little more color come through. And then right smack dab in the center of the arena, there is a Jumbotron, which happens to be on a slightly frayed cable that suddenly becomes a little loose after about 90 seconds of gameplay, and you can shoot that and have it fall on people, including teammates, which can then actually remove a power weapon from play, which is often the Digger Launcher, one of my new favorite weapons, which I think is also proved to be very popular online. So if you get good at controlling the high ground in that map, you want to go for the grenades and try and storm the top, and if you can control the top ground in that map, you can generally wind up winning, and it's generally a blast to play.
Cool, and I just want to remind everybody that you can ask Cliff a question by tweeting out with the hashtag Gears3Beta, put @IGN on the tag so we know you're asking for us, and we'll pick some of the best questions and ask them here right for you. So another question, we're on Trenches right now, by the way, which is my personal favorite map, but...
yeah, it's my favorite too, actually.
What is it that you like about it so much?
I like the kind of king of the hill mentality that happens with it, right? The fact that it's got whenever the one shot is at the top of that hill, I love the laser beam that goes out that just scans like the Eye of Sauron, right? Just hunting for people. And what winds up happening is, especially in this map with the mortar and with the one shot, is that the spotting mechanism suddenly becomes that much more powerful. So if you target somebody and stick click, you get a little icon over the enemy's heads, and that's your way of alerting your teammates. So with the sniper rifle, with a mortar, with the one shot, they call it where the enemies are about to come around the corner, and you can kind of prepare the shot, and then take the one shot, which shoots out like a 8-inch slug, and just pink mists people immediately. And when you're behind cover and you see that laser scanning over you, I tell you, it really makes your butt pucker.
That's what that sensation is.
Yep.
So Raj972 would like to know, what is your favorite weapon?
Oh God, I like the heavy, regular, like a grenade. I mean, right now I like the Pendulum Lancer. When we were building a lot of these guns, and this is one thing that I had on Boltstorm when I was working with Adrian and those guys, People Could Fly, they built so many fantastic guns. I was like, you know, Americans and people who are gun nuts just love freaking just guns, right? And so when we started talking about doing just another rifle, and then we actually had the design of the Retro Lancer on the cover of one of the Gears of War books, that was the prequel, we were like, why don't we do this? And then the idea for the bayonet charge came about, in which I just can't stop doing. And so you kind of get that, you know, make your character scream in any moment that comes from that weapon, whereas, you know, I play as Carmine a lot, and when he starts screaming, it's like, oh, God! And it just makes me giggle every time. And so that, combined with the kick on it, and kind of managing that kick and the kind of crunchy, firing, slightly retro sound, makes it my favorite new weapon. But I love them all, I gotta be honest.
For me, I think that it's the killing somebody with a retro charge actually is the best humiliation move that's in the beta. That, like, people feel bad when they get stabbed like that. It's like embarrassing in a way.
But there's a risk to reward there. I mean, you might get like you know, a few extra points for doing it, but you're still for like 2 seconds right there, right? So you know, you have to pick your battles with it. I mean, the matches. You guys have noticed that if you like select the pistol and the default executions, or the face beat down for the cog and the locust, and then the arm rip for the locust, and you can just keep hitting the Y button and keep beating them and getting like a +9, +9, which is just tremendously fun to do.
Got another question?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Nick Abbing would like to know, I wanted to ask how long the beta will last and what will be added to it in the course of the beta. So are there going to be new modes, new weapons, new anything that's added throughout the weeks of the beta, and when does it end?
Yeah, the beta starts, well, so the VIP stuff's going on right now, but when it officially goes live next week, Team Deathmatch is going to be the first mode that's available for roughly about a week, I would wager. And then after that, we're going to unlock King of the Hill, and then after that, we were going to unlock Capture the Leader, because we didn't want to give all the game types at once, right? Let the players kind of learn each one, basically. So I'm fairly certain it runs through about May 18th, roughly about a month. And the key is to give people enough time with it so that they can kind of get into it, grind a little bit, and see some of the unlockables. It's just tip of the iceberg with the unlockables in it, by the way. There's tons in the main game. And make sure that they get enough time with it, but also end it when they're having the most fun. That's one of the things I've learned from friends working at the YMCA whenever they're teaching kids, various games, is that, you don't wear the game out on the kids. You want to stop when they're having the most fun. That way when you say, hey, let's play dodgeball again, they're like, yay, as opposed to, no, that was really tiring and I had a ball beating against my head last time. So just enough like a summertime snack here, and then just to get everybody ready for the fall and the launch on September 20th.
Cliff, I was going to ask real quick, if people have feedback about the beta, if they've seen some glitches, or if they've noticed some bugs, or if they have some suggestions, always polite suggestions on the internet, of course, about weapon balancing, where would they go? How would they do that?
You can go to forums.epicgames.com. And then you can also hit myself up on Twitter. It's just the real Cliffy B, as well as Rod Ferguson, who's Gears Viking.
And of course, they can call you on your cell phone at any time, right?
Yeah, which is your number. It got swished, right? It's one of those things, like when a game would ship, we would fear the YouTube videos, we would fear the forum posts about bugs, right? And now in this crazy new world where betas and demos are more important than ever, you put out the beta and you want to find, it's crowdsourcing for product improvement, right? And so we want people to post YouTube videos of crazy glitches because we've allocated a certain amount of time that we can fix a lot of these, and hopefully all of them. And of course, no game is perfect, but still, get as many of the little buggers as you can before you ship, and then ship the most solid game you can, and then also get the hype bump of being a trending topic all day on Twitter for it, which is just brilliant.
One of the questions we had talked earlier about some of the improvements, one of those being dedicated servers, and we had a question here that asked, will there be dedicated servers specific to each region, or is it going to be like, so if I'm in Spain, will I get a dedicated server, etc.?
Cautiously, yes, because it would kind of not make sense to only have them in North America, but I can't confirm it at this time in regards to the actual locations.
Cool. And Mr. Durf, really only reading your question because I love your name, Mr. Durf. We wanted to know, I would love to meet Mrs. Durf, by the way. I bet she is hot. Wanted to know.
I don't even know what that means, but I'm sure you're right.
Wanted to know, I know that this is an obvious answer, but can you still tag grenades to walls?
Yes, you can still tag grenades to walls. Wall grenade tagging and stopping power are not going anywhere. It's one of those things that stopping power, for example, is something that only happens from the front when people are shooting you and only affects people who blindly run at people like idiots. Grenade tagging, however, probably was a little bit too powerful when we initially shipped it. So what we've done is made sure that there's enough time that if you're paying attention and you see it or hear it, you have a good chance of evading out of the way. But it's still useful that if you're in the middle of combat and you're not paying attention to what's behind you, it can still blow you up. The key with a good game design is to have the player blaming himself, so that he says, damn it, I should have looked and seen that obvious grenade or heard it. I could have evaded, I will do that next time, as opposed to, stupid game designer, I blame you guys for making something that I could not dodge, right? It's the same thing with across all weapons and all balancing.
So I shouldn't always blame my internet connection?
Well, when in doubt, blame the internet or blame Canadians.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we've seen from just playing, being in the beta just for a couple of days, is that the idea is not we're going to take things away from you that you had in Gears 2, but that we're going to modify a few of them so they're a little bit more fair, and then we're just going to add a bunch of stuff onto that. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, refine them, but also make sure that there's enough tools in there. So, granted, maybe it's not even not just rock paper shotgun. It's rock paper shotgun lancer. Like, there's enough. When you have so many weapons and units and play styles, and the chaos of people joining and coming and going, it can sometimes take years before you find out what the preferred strategy was. You look at Blizzard and what they do with StarCraft, and the number of units, the number of combinations is, even when you crowdsource with so many people are still finding new strategies like quite a while after the game ships. Then when you add in Team Deathmatch, where people have the potential to spawn behind somebody else. I mean, I was on a server, the same guy who did the double mantle kick and double shotgun to a couple guys. I'm a decent player. I'm about average, right? But this guy was really top tier, and he killed me a bunch of times, but I was still able to catch him with his pants down and shotgun him from behind or pendulum stab him from in the back and get those kills and get those revenge kills. And just this being, David able to throw that rock and hit Goliath just due to the chaos of some of the team deathmatch modes, I think helps make the game work.
So we know what happens when two people meet and they both have regular lancers. There's sort of a tapping chainsaw battle. But what happens when two people meet who are charging with retro lancers?
Yeah, the guy who's the most straight on wins, and if they're both dead on, then otherwise it's random because we don't have an animation for two guys spearing each other. But I can tell you that if a guy has a lancer and a guy charges him with a retro, and the guy with the Lancer is facing him, and the guy with the chainsaw wins because chainsaw trumps a straight-up blade.
I think I learned that from Bear Grylls. I think that.
Yeah.
That's part of his survival guide, isn't it?
That and stint in squeezing out cow dung for water, I believe.
Oh, can you leave that out of this one?
Colt Snow, Colt Pones U. That's what it is. You guys are getting too close. These are turning into like license plates. Hey Cliff, the one-shot and long-shot both seem to be a single-shot sniper weapons. What is the balance between those two?
Well, the one-shot is a heavy weapon that often requires you to lug it around if you're going to use it anywhere. It also has a telegraph of a large laser beam, as well as it takes about a second before you can actually fire it once you zoom. And that's just to give it a little bit of telegraph, so it's a semi-fair weapon that if you're not paying attention, you can get tagged. Whereas the sniper rifle is a precision weapon that allows you to roll around and be a knucklehead with that. You can actually get no-scope headshots if you're good with it. But body shots are not going to do a one-shot down this time because that was something we had put in originally that just really didn't make a lot of sense. You fire one shot in the air, get an active reload, and then just shoot somebody in the body and they go down but not out, which is just cheesy, and a few people liked it, but a lot of people hated it, so majority ruled on to that one. I love these usernames, by the way. I have a guy who follows me on Twitter whose name is Bunt Cubbles, which I just think is cheesy.
That's amazing. So one of the things that we're in checkout right now, which is the kind of the abandoned supermarket level, where you can pull a fire alarm, just pull the fire alarm for apparently for no reason, just for some noise. But it seems like every level has either some form of interaction or a randomized event, like Trenches has the sandstorm. Is that something that we can expect in most of the levels throughout Gears, the retail version?
Sure, it's in all of them. I mean, if you look in checkout, there's a couple of the supermarket type stacked pallets that if you take cover on it, like they'll kind of fall over. Also, just little details like that. This is the kind of stuff that we're able to get in now that we've had the time to polish the product like this. Right? I was talking earlier about the chickens and the pumpkins in Old Town. If your artists and your modelers and your particle guys and your coders have the time to make friggin' chickens and pumpkins, then obviously you're ahead of your curve with your game being great, and then they might actually have a really, really polished product, whereas, they have, a little bit of spare time to put the special sauce and things. So each map has a certain amount of something that occasionally affects gameplay. It can be like the Jumbotron, it can be the dust storm, or it could even be the alarm, which guarantee every time you go into those rounds, somebody pulls that damn thing. It originally went on the entire match, and of course we had to dial that back, so it only goes on for like 10 seconds, but it just makes you giggle when you know, it's a person's kind of way of calling out, hey, I'm over here, right? Like, hey, what's up? And I love it. It kind of goes back to the original UT, kind of with the, the pressurized chamber and some of the things we used to have, right?
Right, and I think one of my favorite things about this level is that they have some Muzak playing as well.
Yeah, which is the Gears theme.
Love it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you think that's going to be available as somewhere as like an MP3?
I don't know. Well, it's probably gonna. It was like one time I was in an elevator at like a video game conference, and some news about Gears being a great selling game came across the Reuters wire on the sign, like the TV screen in the elevator when I was in the elevator, which was like it was so meta. So I can imagine like getting in an elevator somewhere and actually hearing that somewhere and being like, wait, what is going on? Am I about to get torque bowed? I don't really understand.
All right, K-Tang has a good question for you. K-Tang BB, will the beta rank stats carry over in any way to the full retail game?
We are still looking into it. I do know the unlocks will, but it remains to be seen whether or not the actual stats will.
Oh, so there's a possibility that it could happen?
Honestly, I just haven't sunk up with Rod and Joe and see if they're doing it yet. It's anybody's guess right now. It's a tricky thing to kind of bring forward, though, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll bet it is. That'd be awesome if you could do it, but I bet the logistics of that are pretty crazy.
But if it doesn't happen, just think about it like you're prestiging when you start the full game over again.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if I couldn't carry over all my stats, it'd be great if I could carry any of the medals or any of that kind of stuff, just to feel like I kind of earned something. And you will unlock some of the skins and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can confirm that, like, the Coltrane variant, as well as the Golden Retro Lancer will, right? As well as the Flaming Hammer Burst that you can only get if you play in the Bulletstorm exclusive window. There's a lot of disinformation out there, by the way, just to help clear it up about some GameStop employees apparently, God bless them, are are saying that the Boltstorm Epic Edition beta code only gets you in the 18th through like the 24th, but that's not the case. That gets you in the week early as well as for the full beta, so everybody keep that in mind out there.
That was terrible.
Yeah, we've got a FAQ up on our site too. I know you guys have one on the Gears of War forums. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of places you can go to find out exactly everything you need.
I will tweet the FAQ, and 5 minutes later somebody will ask me a question on Twitter, like that's the second question in the FAQ, and I'm just like... Those people who follow and want to see commentary about my dog farting or something don't necessarily want to see me answering the same question over and over again.
No, they want to learn more about your dog farting. So, by the way, what is up with your dog farting all the time?
He stole a code from me yesterday. I don't know if you saw that. It's like, you know, those Bush Big Beans commercial where the dogs get stealing the bean secret. My dog's stealing codes and tweeting them occasionally, and nice. he's doing well on Twitter. He has 1,500 followers. He just tweets about bitches and poop.
Wow, that's actually that's much better than Kotaku, which is my personal bonus Twitter feed. So feel free to follow Kotaku if you want any of the latest taco gaming related news.